from Durlston down to Peveril Point is a very unique bit of land because the geology is quite varied. I love it because it's so dynamic. You've got that massive limestone wall up on the southern side, and then as you come around into the bay, you've got the flora and the fauna. There's a long history with the Purbeck Marble, or what we call Purbeck Marble. It's sedimentary rock. It's a limestone that's been built up over eons and is made up of tiny shells and coloured by the mineral content. That's quite a strong element just living in this area. It's very Jurassic. The stone production in the area historically is, between Portland and the Purbecks had pretty much made London. And not to mention all the cathedrals in England have a piece of Purbeck marble. Lots of the king's tombs are made out of this material, and it's a fantastic polishable material, which is why its fame has continued throughout the ages. Purbeck marble is in fact kind of related to time travel in a way, because as I'm peeling back this stone, I'm travelling further and further through time. The act of cutting through the stone, for me, is a way of engaging and connecting with the landscape and the history. At times it's as if you're looking into the universe, the way the stone starts to present itself. The discovery of fossils transformed our perspective and understanding of mankind, and of course, as an artist, one of our many questions would be, where are we from, and how have we got here?
This part of Purbeck, about 140 million years ago, was in fact much, much further south, probably in the place where the Mediterranean is today, so a much warmer climate. And the habitats were coastal lagoons, and we can find the fossils of the wildlife that actually lived in those lagoons. And we can find all sorts of things, lots and lots of different species of fish. There are 40 different species of reptile, from turtles through to crocodiles, lizards, dinosaurs. Iguanodon and Megalosaurus were both around here. And the dinosaurs actually left trackways, and we find the trackways in the rocks as well. These beds are a classic site for looking at this particular part of the Cretaceous period, and they are a type site globally because of the important fossils that it contains.
The waves really break on this head here. Down there as well, there's a hole. The water gets pushed in, and so it acts like a geyser. There's this great spout of water coming right up into the air. Even on a fairly standard middleish swell, the water will be bashing up there and sucking back down. It's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, Whim Caves.
I think the 1863 description of the area which George Burt bought along through Durlston Bay is extensive quarry lands. George Burt was a contractor in London. He was fascinated by so many things, as many Victorians were. As they got London contracts, they started to collect, artefacts, if you like. He didn't want to waste anything, and so anything he thought was useful was reutilised. And at the entrance of Whim Caves, there's a granite gatepost, which is from Pentonville Prison. There are a lot of inscriptions around the park, and the one down in Whim Caves actually says, "Look round and read great nature's open book," which is obviously a good slogan, if you like, for the park and nature conservation in general.
There's always a sense of time travel when you come to Durlston, between the the ancient geology and the Victorian follies. And one piece of Bert's crazy vision for Durlston Pleasure Grounds was the globe.
He had a small one built, which was in Purbeck House. I think it's now on the Isle of Wight. Interested him, and he actually commissioned this stone globe to be built and constructed it on Durlston Head.
The Great Globe, that's a fantastic feat of engineering. You struggle in your imagination to work out actually how they did it and how they got it there, or did they actually carve it in place. When you're standing in front of it, you're really absorbed in all the information that's given to you about the planet that you live on.
Yeah, he's very much full of the world and statistics and comparing the Earth to the planets and the stars. Quotations from the Bible, lots about God the Creator. But it was all about awe and wonder, really, that the people that were attracted up here, he wanted them to stand here, look at the globe that we've got here, look out across the channel and perhaps just think wider thoughts than they normally did. It encourages people to think a bit bigger, perhaps, than they would do normally.
And the two plans which were probably most useful to me in my work were the plan which shows the surviving Burt features and the plan of what George Burt called the Durlston Park Estate. And this actually shows what he called the building sites, which would have been the building plots for the houses.
So he, from about 1870s onwards, laid out, if you like, the park, the pathways and the walkways here to be a barrier to the sea, and obviously a pleasant area for people to walk, and trying to sell these plots. The profit motive was there, as well as trying to improve his hometown, obviously. But that wasn't terribly successful.
The plan's quite interesting because it shows what would have been planned for the Swanage end, some of which was implemented, and then moving up to where the park actually starts now, we've got a whole series of parallel linear development plots running facing south to the sea, because obviously they would have been placed that way for the views. And obviously none of those were ever built. So all that's left really are the dry stone walls, which would have contained the building plots. And those dry stone walls are now significantly better condition than they were a couple of years ago.
The stone wall is such a feature in the landscape. The stone actually comes from on the cliffs. You can see it quite clearly in places like Seacombe and Dancing Ledge. The top of strata, you've got the earth, and below that, for maybe 1 metre, you've got the perfect size and flat stone for a workable stone wall, which is clearly why they'd favoured that material. It's strong, and once the wall's up, it's going to be there for a long time, especially maintained. So I think it would have been normal at a point in history, just if you weren't doing anything, you would be repairing the stone wall.
I remember when I first started here, it was on a community enterprise scheme, and I had a part-time job building dry stone walls. But what I hadn't sort of reckoned on was how important these dry stone walls were to the wildlife of the area. And I'll never forget, what we tended to do was to actually take down the remnants of the wall and then take it right down to the bottom and then rebuild it from the bottom up. And as we got into the bottom of the walls, we'd find hibernating animals. But probably the most spectacular one was a toad, which was right down at the bottom of the wall. And I put it on the palm of my hand, and as it was there, it slowly started to come back to life. It was really quite an awesome and moving moment, really, because here are these animals, without realising it, using the physical properties of the rocks, which absorb the sunlight even in the middle of winter, and are going to be a little bit warmer than anywhere else, and it's a perfect place to actually spend your winter.
I think one thing that people talk about is the fortune there was that George Burt didn't sell the plots that he was due to sell, and instead we have this really special place that's been conserved and continues to grow, continues to have amazing performances and amazing work on in the gallery, and that just feels really, really special.